Please be seated. Good morning. My name is Bill Rickert, and along with Jack Hyland, we are the co-chairs of the Board of Trustees of Teachers College, and I have the honor of officially opening today's ceremony. On behalf of the entire Teachers College community, I welcome you to the 2011 Masters Commencement Convocation. You're all brave to be here today. It's my great pleasure now to introduce the President of Teachers College, Susan H. Furman.
Good morning. Welcome to Convocation at Teachers College. Today, a feeling of joy, which poet Friedrich Schiller described as a bright spark of divinity, permeates this magnificent cathedral. Joy fills the hearts of those unsung heroes who bore so many sacrifices to make it to this day, the parents, partners, and children of our graduates. We thank you. Joy touches the hearts of TC's faculty and staff who have mentored, nudged, and nourished our students on their critical paths all the way to earning their degrees. Thank you. And joy surely dwells in the hearts of our graduates who have tested their ideas and pursued their dreams in TC's Laboratory of Knowledge. And I am overjoyed to warmly welcome our graduates into TC's Alumni Fellowship of Scholars and Professionals throughout the world. Congratulations, well done. Now, don't get too comfortable. We are hardly done with you. Starting tomorrow, we are counting on you to join our global network of innovative leaders in the task of shaping the learning century. This should be your moment. Perhaps for the first time in history, education shines as the coin of the realm in world affairs, and for good reason. Education drives innovation and fuels productivity. It is the lifeblood of democracy and diversity. Education, particularly advanced education in teaching, counseling, and allied health fields, lays the foundation for public and civic health. And yet, we are fighting uphill battles together on multiple fronts to protect this precious currency. We are fighting to reverse a nationwide high school dropout epidemic that condemns more than 1 million American teenagers a year to lives of poverty, despair, and drift. We are fighting to reduce ever-widening gaps in educational opportunity and scholastic achievement within our country, even as we simultaneously struggle to catch up in math and science literacy with other nations. We are fighting a global obesity epidemic, fed by a toxic brew of economic, cultural, and behavioral forces. The World Health Organization estimates the global population of obese people at 300 million, roughly the equivalent of the entire population of the United States. We are fighting to stem a rising tide of ridicule, suspicion, and anger, aimed at the very people on the front lines who are best prepared to tackle and solve society's toughest problems, educated professionals like you and me. In particular, teachers, leaders, and teacher educators have been unfairly blamed and often viciously attacked for the failures of the system itself. A system that fails to distribute and allocate resources equitably and efficiently. A system that doesn't use existing policy levers to strengthen weak schools and chooses instead to tar all public schools with the same rhetorical brush. And much of the public discussion on education has failed to address or even recognize the complexity of the challenges we face. Instead, we get large servings of simplistic rhetoric that embraces marginal reforms and experiments as panaceas, when we should be developing new approaches that can be leveraged into broad-scale achievement and improvement. Simply put, we cannot bicker and blame our way to success. We can and should put our heads together, pool our perspectives and our specialized areas of expertise, and craft powerful and enduring solutions to the challenges facing our nation and world. The talent for blending new ideas with well-grounded knowledge in order to produce effective new educational strategies and methods is embedded in TC's DNA. It sparked educational pioneers such as James Russell, John Dewey, Edward Thorndike, Margaret Mead, and others to explore new insights into human development and to develop revolutionary modalities of teaching and learning. Through collaboration and innovation, the modern K-12 classroom was born here, as was the modern College of Education itself. Social studies education began here, as did special education. The study of gifted children was born and shaped TC as well. Meanwhile, TC's dynamic partnerships with local schools in Harlem and communities throughout the world has and will enable us to promote equity and transform urban education at a time of scarce resources. And through your leadership in the vanguard of collaboration and innovation, TC's power to shape the learning century will know no bounds. Master's graduate Shannon Bishop is hoping to take her place in the vanguard of learning in South Africa. Yay, Shannon. She is taking the tools and tech savvy TC gave her to help youngsters learn English as a second language in a country where Black children are exposed to as many as a half a dozen languages and dialects. She plans to establish an after-school academic center in Cape Town that will use multimedia and advanced storytelling techniques in order to bridge the digital and language divide in South Africa. Closer to home, Maria Hinkson was working as an accountant when a chance encounter with a TC-trained speech pathologist who was helping one of her children changed her life. She enrolled in TC's program, which sent her to Africa to work with a cleft palate team in Ghana. Now, as a freshly minted speech pathologist, Maria is ready to do her part to help New York City do a better job responding to children with speech and linguistic issues. Right now, she says, when kids have speech issues that actually are linguistic in origin, they're often tracked into ESL or otherwise given inappropriate therapy or no help at all. I expect Maria to become a formidable advocate and force for educational change in the year ahead. Yay, Maria. All our graduates could not have picked a better time to bring their TC education to bear on the most challenging issues of the day. Indeed, this is a fabulous time for this group of future leaders to be entering the world of government, academe, the health professions, or the classrooms with a degree from Teachers College. We're on the verge of major breakthroughs in neuro and cognitive science and astonishing advances in digital technology that can increase the learning of all, young and old, rich and poor alike. Long ago, Emerson told a room full of future leaders much like yourselves, this time, like all times, is a very good one, if we but know what to do with it. Graduates, this is your time, your moment for shaping the learning century. Keep adding to the knowledge that you helped advance at TC. Draw on the wealth of life-changing experiences you enjoyed here. Build on the friendships you made here. And by all means, make your time the very best of times for us all. Thank you. We have now reached the moment to present the Teachers College Medal for Distinguished Service, the highest honor the college bestows. We honor those extraordinary women and men whose lives' work has advanced the cause of education while upholding TC's core mission to foster excellence and equity in the fields we serve. The Distinguished Service Medal has been given in past years to Archbishop Desmond Tutu, Coretta Scott King, Senator George Mitchell, Pete Seeger, Tom Sobel, Lee Shulman, Gail Collins, Spike Lee, and many others. This year, our medalists are eminent exemplars. Former New York Times columnist and author Bob Herbert, Baltimore City Schools CEO Dr. Andres Alonso, and Stanford professor, education scholar, and former TC faculty member Dr. Linda Darling Hammond. Mr. Herbert will receive his medal at this afternoon's master's ceremony, and Dr. Darling Hammond will receive her medal tomorrow at the doctoral hooding ceremony. Here to present Dr. Alonso with his medal is our Provost and Dean, Dr. Thomas James. Thank you.
Thank you, President Furman. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Jeffrey Hennig, Professor of Political Science and Education. He also chairs our newly created Department of Education Policy and Social Analysis. Dr. Hennig will present our medalist recipient, Dr. Andres Alonso.
Dr. Alonso, can you join me up here? Andres Alonso, you have often recalled how on your first day as a special education teacher at a school for emotionally disturbed children, you contemplated a sign on the principal's wall that said, "The kids come as is." By changing virtually every other variable in broken schools, you have transformed the lives of thousands of children whom society has written off. It was with that mission that at age 29, you left a promising law career to teach in Newark, one of the nation's most troubled school districts. Over the next decade, you visited children in their homes, assisted drug-addicted parents, and even adopted a student as your own son. Yet you hungered to achieve reform at a far broader scale. You found the opportunity to do so as CEO of schools in Baltimore, where more than 4/5 of all students live in poverty and where the school system has perennially defied reform. Under your leadership, students across all categories achieved their highest ever outcomes on state exams, highest ever graduation rate, and lowest ever dropout rates. For the first time ever, elementary and high school students in all subgroups have made adequate yearly progress. Baltimore's dropout rate has since fallen by half, and for the first time in decades, the city's public school system is gaining students instead of losing them. Your success certainly stems in part from the many brilliant tactical moves you have made, but it also derives from your own near superhuman commitment of energy, time, and love, and your insistence on the same from all in your employ.
Dr. Alonso, one of your own deputies has said, "If he can't do it, no one will ever do it. We will never have a superintendent of this caliber again." Fortunately, every indicator is that beyond succeeding, you will ultimately demonstrate, beyond all doubt, that American public schools not only can be saved, but are eminently worth saving. For that, perhaps more than your many other remarkable accomplishments, we are proud to present you with the Teachers College Medal for Distinguished Service.
What a setting. It's hard in this setting to obey FDR's dictum that a speech should be all about being short, being sincere, and being seated. So I will definitely hit the mark with the second one because this is very personal to me. So good morning, graduates, faculty, honored guests, families, and friends. Let me first congratulate all of you, the graduates. To believe in a child is to believe in the future, Henry James once said. You're here because you believe in the future. In this time when educators are often castigated for our sheer failing in educating many children to their potential, we need to continually point out that you are in the arena, you believe, you are dedicating your lives to improving the lives of children. 25 years ago, I changed course in my career and became an educator. It has been the single most important and right decision in my life. In the schools where I have taught and led, the act of educating children is often a struggle against many things that belie our belief in children. You believe and you serve. I salute you as a brother in arms. I want to now tell you how honored and humbled I am by this medal, because I came to be an educator after having practiced law. I was always a learner first. There are so many people who taught me and inspired me who are far more deserving than I am of receiving this recognition. I think of my first principal, or some of the teachers who taught with me in my first school, who helped calibrate my moral compass, or superintendents who later helped channel my contrarian impulses with the example of their efforts, their patience to do good things in their communities. They are responsible for what I have done right. This honor also reminds me that I am getting old. I am now 32 years removed from receiving my bachelor degree at this very same campus. On a day in May I remember like yesterday. I hope you remember it in the same way for yourselves 30 years from now. Paraphrasing St. Augustine, why did my youth leave me? And if it did, since it's still with me, where did it go? That boy who arrived at Columbia roughly 35 years ago lives in every action I take today. My parents were there then and are here again today. I have to say again how proud I am to be before you today. That boy was shaped by having grown up in a small town in Cuba during the 60s, a time of social upheaval and revolution, and by the experience of having to physically leave my childhood behind. It was shaped by a tightly knit family and community where my parents were my first teachers. I've told a story before of receiving, at the age of 6, before I had ever gone to school, a birthday gift of 4 books, brand new, a wonder in a place where books were hard to find outside of a small public library. Each book containing possibilities and each communicating an enormous belief about what my future contained. One was a white hardcover abridged version of The Three Musketeers. Another was a historical novel about a sailor in Magellan's quest to circumnavigate the world. The other 2 were moral fictions about adolescents in parochial schools in England and France. How I remember them today conveys the importance they had in my life. Learning mattered. This Christmas, through the wonder of the web, I hunted down one of them in a used bookshop in Toledo, Spain, and reread it. It was worth the effort. The book was as great as I remember. It had shaped me. America was then my teacher. Far too often, the discussion of immigrant students starts with the notion of a deficit. How wrong that is. How much does it miss the experience of the child assimilating by osmosis regardless of what schools do, and by intention when it's done right, not simply a second language in school matters, but an entire system of science, a new culture where every behavior is a lesson. I was lucky. I felt then, and still feel now, that in my first American schools across the Hudson in Union City, New Jersey, I fell into a stream of great expectations that carried me here. Everything I have done as an educator, once I became a teacher, has been about ensuring that every student under my watch can swim in that same stream. At the time, I thought I became a teacher almost by accident. It's clear to me now that it was meant to be. I had gone to Harvard Law School, had practiced law here in New York City, but something gnawed in me, perhaps the words from Pablo Neruda, spelled in a pennant my father had once given me. Algún día, en cualquier parte, en cualquier lugar, indefectiblemente te encontrarás a ti mismo, y esa, solo esa, puede ser la más feliz o la más amarga de tus horas. Someday, anywhere, any place, you will inevitably find yourself, and that and only that will be the happiest or bitterest of your hours. I met my hour, I am happy to say now, as soon as I began to teach at a school for emotionally disturbed adolescents in Newark, New Jersey. Those kids, those parents, those teachers repositioned my world. All people, the great Cuban poet Jose Marti once wrote, when they arrive on earth, have a right to be educated, and then in return, they have the obligation to educate others. The obligation for me was not a burden, it was another gift. My first day as a teacher at the Samuel L. Berliner School in Newark, as you referred, I read a sign at the back of the main office that said, "The kids come as is, they are not made to order." We taught kids whom schools had failed, whose families struggled to raise them, but they had enormous strengths. They often showed huge moral sense, and they needed that moral sense in ways that I had never needed at the same age. And we could not reach them without thinking of reaching their families as well. Respect for the kids meant respect for the people they loved. A quarter century later, I am still using the lessons of those first days. The kids come as is. We cannot change our schools without engaging the kids and their families as partners. The work is about making everyone responsible for what happens with kids. Just as a class has to be about every student, the school system is only as good as its weakest school. Today, I lead a school system where the overwhelming majority of my students live in poverty, just like those first kids I taught. We face enormous challenges but have made great progress. We have cut our dropout rate by more than half in 3 years, almost 60% among African American male youth. I do a job that some people think undoable. I was the 7th superintendent in 10 years when I took the job, and now after 4 years, and I always have to laugh or smile when I say this, I have the longest superintendent tenure in Baltimore in almost 2 decades. But the job is exhilarating because we are the fulcrum of everything good that can happen in the city. We touch every day not only more than 80,000 kids, but through them, their families, their communities, and every social institution that responds to them. Nothing else can equal that span. The opportunities far exceed the challenges, despite the way that some people still talk about urban schools. We have done this in an unusual way by adopting the strategies of the so-called new education reform movements. We rethink school models, we close low-performing schools, we expand choice, for example, but also by putting a lot of focus on working with communities and partners around the needs of individual students and about rethinking the relationship of the community setting to the school. We have tried extraordinarily hard to work with teachers around redefining what needs to happen in our classrooms and schools. We have given hope to the city about what is possible. For the first time in decades, enrollment has increased for 3 consecutive years. Our results are encouraging, but everything feels fragile. We try hard to communicate confidence in our success, but we know that every setback means we go back to the bottom of the hill again. When I reflect on the work we have done in Baltimore, I can only conclude that the biggest obstacle over time has been a lack of political will and accountability for kids that can only be explained by a lack of belief in the families, poor, black and white, whom we serve. How is the dropout rate in our large cities tolerated if we value kids? Communities have the graduation and dropout and college attainment rates that they want. Unfortunately, educators too often engage in internecine fights that erode the political will needed to ensure what is necessary and possible in schools. We have managed to avoid these fights in Baltimore, and that has allowed us to focus on fundamental questions of responsibility and on fundamental questions of content. What is good teaching? How do we know it, encourage it, develop it, and spread it? What is good learning? Same questions, please. Finally, we're there. How do we make everyone, inside and outside the school, respond to the need of every child? Why, I say all the time, what is the actionable item? If it's not about the people around the table, around what the people around the table can do in relationship to those questions, we are off target. So I am coming to the end of this acceptance, having shied away, I hope, from grand abstract pronouncements and having grounded some of my observations in memory and experience. Each of you will bring your own world and your own ineluctable self to a classroom and a group of kids and families and other teachers, or to a problem of practice in education in a role that will impact what other people in this room are doing in other classrooms with their own kids. And what I want very badly to communicate is that you're going to need to be true to your essential self on behalf of yourself and your students, and yet remain open to what others will teach you, especially the kids and families you serve, and be willing to put and leave skin in the game to make certain that things happen that are often very hard to accomplish given the conditions of our schools and communities, and do that without becoming cynical or learning to blame others for the inevitable defeats along the way. And while you deserve huge praise in choosing to do this work that we do, you will gain ever greater rewards, because what you do will be moral and great in ways that no other profession can be. To educate, and like a good now all Cuban boy, I need to finish by quoting Martí again, is to give people the keys of the world, which are independence and love, granting them the ability to walk along at the happy pace, which is that of natural and free individuals. To educate is to free. Congratulations all. Thank you once again. This is an amazing honor. Come to Baltimore. We need you there. Thank you.
I'm delighted now to present our student speaker, Akila Reynolds. Akila brought the sunshine with her when she moved from California to attend Teachers College, coming from UC Berkeley 2 years ago. She credits the psychological counseling program where she's been studying not only with teaching her how to counsel, but also giving her insight into herself. While at TC, she worked on a research team with a professor who introduced her to participatory action research. Using this method, in partnership with high school students who were also working as researchers alongside her, she developed a true commitment to addressing issues of equity and access in education. This fall, Akilah will be continuing her tour of the United States by moving to Houston to begin a doctoral program in counseling psychology. When thinking about where she is and where she's going, Akilah looks at where she came from. She thinks about the people who've helped her to make her dream a reality, particularly her family. And she calls to mind the African proverb, "I am because you are. I am because you are." Presenting Akilah Reynolds.
As a child, I was shy and deathly afraid of public speaking. One year I was in a holiday program where one by one, each student said a speech. Now I'm sure my parents were in the room waiting in excitement to see me say those few words. When the spotlight was on me, everyone waited intently for me to speak. My parents at the edge of their seats, but with the mic to my mouth, no words would come out. Now let's fast forward 20 years or so, and anyone who knows me is still probably surprised by my standing before you today. I'm surprised myself. How did I get here? How am I standing before your eyes, living out a dream that was once my biggest nightmare? Before coming to TC, I thought I was just going to learn how to be a counselor. I soon found out that I had to learn a lot about myself before I could help anyone else. The work we all do in our respective careers demands self-awareness and empowerment, which includes looking at the power and oppression that comes with each of our identities. We too must be aware of the privilege we now have as TC graduates. It can be a badge of honor, but it can also be a barrier to those we wish to serve if we're not attuned to some of the meanings that are associated with it. Now, countless times we may have heard people say, "Do as I say and not as I do." I know there might be some parents who are sinking in their chairs right now because that might be an effective strategy to get children to eat their vegetables. But as professionals, we need to stand for what we believe in, and we need to practice what we preach. We need to embody the spirit and legacy of TC and its commitment to multiculturalism and its contribution to research and practice that recognizes the potential of all people to be great if they have access to resources, knowledge, choices, and support to nurture those talents. Some children are fascinated by action heroes like Superman, Spider-Man, and Power Rangers. I'm sure my nephew can show you a couple of cool moves after the ceremony, but what is a hero really? The ones outside of the Hollywood studios. Heroes are people who believe strongly in a cause and fight valiantly for what they represent. They are people who don't just talk the talk, but actually walk the walk. Heroes embody the change that they profess. On this day, May 17th, in 1954, the Supreme Court handed down the Brown versus Board of Education decision ending segregation in schools. It began with people who believed in their right to have equal access to quality education, and these heroes stood up for that right. As I mentioned in my opening, I've always had a difficult time with public speaking, but despite my reservations, there was something deep inside of me that needed to be here. And don't worry, Mom and Dad, you don't have to rush to the front to save me this time, because that holiday program was just not my time, but it did set the stage for future challenges. I always wondered what it was that I admired about people I saw on TV. I realized that, among other things, I was drawn to these people because I saw them as brave. I admired their ability to step out in front of audiences with the possibility of being judged and criticized. I too wish that I could be courageous just like them. But back then I had this belief that being brave meant being fearless, which exempt me from that category because I had so many fears. Now I realize that bravery, it's not being without fear. It's actually the opposite. Courage is having fear, but doing something despite that fear. Being brave is not letting fear keep you back from acting on something you believe. Sometimes that means doing something radically different, like those who put their heart and soul into fighting for a right that made it possible for me to even stand before you today. Sometimes we see things we don't like. We're really good at complaining, but often let fear keep us from doing something because we don't want to stand alone. TC has been a nurturing experience because it challenged my fears. In the movie Aladdin, one of the characters talked about a diamond in the rough. There were people here who looked beyond my shy and timid demeanor and recognized the jewel in me. The jewel that each and every one of us possess if only people really saw us. Despite the times I doubted my own abilities, I persevered because these people helped me recognize that on the other side, there was this evolved me that I always wanted to be. As we have seen with the landmark Brown versus Board of Education decision and so many other social movements, change is infectious. And it can start with just one person who believes in something so much that they dare to be different. It is clear. Change starts with you and me. I challenge you to be the living example of what it is you believe. I challenge you, as Mahatma Gandhi said, to be the change in the world you wish to see. Thank you.
Thank you, Akila. At this time, it is our pleasure to recognize each of our candidates for graduation by reading their names. Dr. Thomas Rock, Executive Director of Enrollment Services, will take on that task.
Good morning. For many of you, I had the distinct pleasure of welcoming you to Teachers College when we admitted you. For some, that was last year. For some others, maybe the year before. And for some of you, well, let's just say it was a very long time ago. Congratulations, nonetheless, to all of you on this amazing achievement. At this time, it gives me great pleasure to read the names of those candidates for the Master of Arts, Master of Education, Master of Philosophy, and Master of Science degrees at Teachers College, Columbia University. All degrees will be conferred at the Columbia University ceremony tomorrow. I will be reading the names of degree candidates who registered to participate in this ceremony by April 23rd. This is not the complete list of students graduating tomorrow. So rest assured, if you were cleared for graduation by the Office of the Registrar and your name is not called, don't worry, we're not taking it back. Names of the candidates will be read in voice. Lourdes Campos. Nicole Anita Cardamone. Sarah Marie Carino. Caroline Elizabeth Carty. Mingji Che. Pantelis Haralambos. Chiwei Chen. Eunice Chen. Regina Jichun Chen. Weilin Lisa Chien. Chen Xiao. Nicole Marie Chernyakhovsky. Jane Chung. Carolyn Elizabeth Shamiri. Inyoung Cho. Anna Hilary Choi. Gus Paul Chryson. Ruyuan Xu. Eunice Euna Chung. Jae Chung. Nathan Campbell Clendenin. Kathleen Ann Connelly. Diana Carina Cordova. Melissa Costa, Casey Costanzo, Fiona Crawford, Astrid Cruz, David John Davis, Rebecca London Davis, Tian Deng, Danielle Elizabeth Dubau, Allison Jean Itel, Shakri Eldali, George Eleftheriadis, Carolyn Elk, Seda Elmonteser, Andrew Enamoto, Amelia Margaret Epp, Caroline Ann Falivna, Lauren Marie Philippink, Esther Flame, Brian E. Flanagan, Elizabeth M. Fox, Adria Marie Francani, Lily Joy Friedling, Joseph Gerard Fusca, Daniela Elise Jimenez Gab, Kakraman Gafarov, Grace Ryan Galligan, Yanina Garberg, Alyssa Evans Getzel, Vasiliki Janopoulos, Michelle Marie Girolando, Noelle Dominique Gibson, Sharon Mikey Glaser, Noah Harris Gordon, Saya Gatto, Felicity Ann Graham, Catherine Ennis Graham, Gregory Grene, Rowan Leo Colin Gray, Dennis Griffith, Nicole Sandra Gunn, Alexandra Trent Hamilton, Clare Byul Han, Juyeon Han, Patricia Jinsu Han, Marissa Christine Hansen, Yuka Harimoto, Sean Randall-Gardner Harris, Basim Hassan, Rebecca Helen Hawkins, Betsy Fields Hayes, Emily Marie Heidel, Carol Finney Henderson, Meredith Eleanor Hill, Kendra Nicole Hurst, Patricia Holguin, Heron Hong, Hyewon Hong, Michael Ora, Sarah Rose Horton, Royce B. Hose, Christina Shea, James Huang, Timothy F. Ignafo, Alana Ingber, Laurel Beth Ingraham, Christopher Darrell Innes, Carmen Eleanor James, Winona M. Jameson, Katia Jimenez, Eunice Joe, Terry Margaret Johnson, Jordan Michelle Jones, Dane Joseph, Amy Capadilla, Christina V. Karaivanov, Adina Sarah Kastner, Adam Paul Kidu, Catherine Lorette Kelly, Catherine Marie Kennedy, Robert Edward Keyes, Maria Khalid, Shuhidul Islam Khan, Emily Glassman Sawaski Kaval, Haley Kim, Ziyang Gim, Minsoon Gim, Sojin Gim, Aaron Heath Kirkendall, Yunso Ko, Jennifer Ko, Belma Kokich, Grace Bohyun Kong, Lauren Joy Konopko, Linda Eva Kourkoulis, Connie Kwan, Eliza Lamb, Marita Louise Lang, Kristen Lawler, Adam LeBeau, Desmond John Lee, Rebecca Lee, Sandra Lee, Denise Lynn Lewandowski, Jocelyn Mab Theodora Lifton Zolin, Owen Finch Lipsat, Patrick Edwin Livingstone, Danielle Monica Long, Pamela Lopez, Yunying Jenny Louis, Erin Elizabeth Lynch, Cynthia Macias, Kimberly McKenzie, Teresa Mady Grove, Julia Elise Malta Weingard, Allegra Catherine Marino, Heather Nicole Marr, Anne Ciccarelli Masters, Helena Mary McCarthy, Caroline McCrossan, Lindsay Sarah McKeever, Helen Melamed, Marcel Mentor, Daniel Richardson Merrick, Belinda Jane Michael, Mamiko Miyamoto, Christopher Robert Mizell, Mikako Mako, Caroline Westbrook Moore, Donna S. Moore, Bridget Glennon Moran, Ada Muscal, Kaiko Nagasawa, Taruko Nakajima, Chriselle Navalta, Jessica Ann Nevitt, Arthur Min Wee Win, Heather Marie Nakta, Chea Novi, Lakeisha Renee Adlam, Brock Daniel Alri, Febi Arita, Sungjun Pak, Anna Lee Padajal, Sutita Pavivajan, Tiffany Maria Pelzar, Meredith Lynn Petrov, Abby Marie Porter, Amanda Procaccino, Michelle Pushkin, Anthony Joel Raffagnello, Katie Riley, Rita Zhao Ren, Stephanie Riadi, Joseph Dean Robbins, Goldie Robinson, Katie C. Robinson, Megan Elizabeth Robinson, Dela J. Rogers, Eugenio A. Rosa, Hadassah Rubenstein, Xuen Janie Ruiz Yong, Soleil Sabalja, Alyssa Michelle Sampson, Christina Maria Savarais, Elizabeth Ann Shade, Robin Nicole Sherman, Rachel Linnea Saher, Nina Sethi, Jennifer Seton, Megan Marie Schaefer, Shen Guan Nan, Zachary Christian Shotgren, Yichi Shu, Kimberly Marie Saidi, Sherry Amanda Seiner, Devekanan Singh, Priya Sarkar, Stephanie Renee Smith, Michael Sean Sobel, Gahi Song, Sandra Charlotte Spaziani, Edward Raphael Stapleton, Cornelia Elizabeth Maria Stewa Carrion, Thomas Stimson, Megan Epliata Stotts, Rebecca Ann Strayer, Clara Elizabeth Strother, Mayumi Takazawa, Carly Tam, Ling Tong, Cynthia Elise Toby, Allison Kathleen Tokalish, Phuong Thi Min Trin, Evelyn Truster, Patty Sai, Fred Saizo Sudagawa, Satomi Suyuki, Jonathan Tunstall, Andrew Seth Van Bakov, Kristen M. Verena, Karen Weisblatt, Alicia Vermali, Jason Castrodes Vidario, Marissa Walker Forsora, Suzanne Jamie Lowell Wallace, Sarah Danielle Warshaw, Lindsay Marie Wells, Adam Nicholas Wemple, Natalie Joan Williamson, Melissa Lee Williams, Susan E. Wilson, Anik Jill Wiltoke, Kawei Wong, Atsushi Yakauchi, Emily Elizabeth Young, Di Yu, Yajing Zhao, Yang Zhou, Michael Anthony Zimmerman, Shawnee Zamora. Will the students and the faculty from the Department of Arts and Humanities please stand and recognize the graduates? And now, the graduates from the Department of Biobehavioral Sciences. Lila Barbara Afshar, Donna Akil, Wid Surder Albayadi, Noor Abad Alradi, Carolyn Jennifer Opel, Blanca Esmeralda Armilla, Lauren Stacy Armstrong, Mary Ann Bierstecher, Melissa Ann Bidlock, Susanna Lawrence Brock, Imari Danielle Brown, Heather Michelle Campbell, Wei King Chan, Alexander S. Childs McDonald, Janelle J. Cruz, Eileen Dalton, Hiwati Asefa Jerez, Puneet Dhaliwal, Jonathan DeWitt Edwards, Ipek Ensari, Carolina Escobar Isaza, Marina Fagenbaum, Trina Jean Felton, Lindsay Ruth Fenimore, Stephanie Feynman, Lauren Hilary Fishberg, Risa Fishman, Elaine Yen Fong, Deli Marisol Francisco, Ray Noble Frederick III, Anna Maria Frontrera Biamon, Catherine Justine Galante, Ashley Ganin, Ferline Guess, Lisette Gonzalez, Michael Jason Hadler, Erica Ann Hahn, Iram Haq, Terry Michelle Harrell, Patrick Benedict Harvey, Molly Ann Henderson, Yael Herskoff Oriamuno, Maria Margarita Hinkson, Michael T. Horvath Lee, Yulun C. Cixi Huan, Lauren Hurwitz, Farah Ali Hussein, Allison Elizabeth Kelleher, Krista T. Kenny, Nahayan Ko, Bridget Rose Krakauer, Genevieve Elizabeth Lear, Yuen Lee, Jay Lieberman, Francesca Lormias, Christina Alexandria Moriarty, Christine Mary Mullaney, Tamara Maritza Naparstek, Julia Niego, Melissa Hope Novello, Lily Yvette Nunez, Dustin Jordan Pesigli, Vera Penko, Antonella Percassi, Jenny Claire Portney, Diana Pritzker, Carrie Jean Saffron, Allison Andruskavitz Sanchez, Patricia Santos, Sarah Bethany Sawyer, Jacqueline Ann Schmeider, Jennifer Flora Schmierer, Allison Schoenberger, Sarah Joy Schwarzwalder, Jacob Andrew Seidlick, Taryn Claire Steenkamp, Jisoo Sung, Francis Fairbanks Wilson, Alexander Rice Zimmerman. Will the students and the faculty from the Department of Biobehavioral Sciences please stand and be recognized? And now, the graduates from the Department of Counseling and Clinical Psychology. Maria Abada, Amanda Eldorado, Tanhida Afraz, Wendy Johanna Alfaro, Adrienne Reed Allen, Amanda Ann Allen, Julianne Alexandra Almonte, Gabriela Alvarado, Jasmine Elizabeth Alvarez, Erin Elizabeth Anderson, Ian Ung, Maria Andrea Ariano Piedra, Virginia Kelly Earth, Farah Atut, Lara Maria Aunio, Samuel Henry Barkin, Laura Ann Barsky, Yaakov Barton, Kendall Ross Boussard, Catherine Beck, Amanda Gail Benedetto, Nieto Bensi Enchil, Brianna Mackenzie Bernardo, Elizabeth Leah Burwett, Adam Biek, Rebecca Ilana Birch, Sabrina Vashti Booth, Laura Burnham Bragdon, Tracy Marie Branch, Kristen Butterfield, Meredith Catherine Chapman, Kwanwi Chen, Jihi Cho, Ilwa Choi, Ashley Colazo, Haley Marie Crane, Amy Lane Curcio, Gabriella Marie Denker, Brooke Eve Denner, Anita Anil Deshpande, Allison Marie DiRienzo, Amy Susan Deneen, Emily Treat Diston, Rachel Emily Dreilinger, Denise Renee Dubron Vanderveer, Janine DeCurtis Edwards, Esther Yojin Ellison, Samantha Ewers, Rosemarie Elizabeth Vital, Aubrey Jean Fisher, Kenya Edith Fodor, Rebecca France, Sophia Frenzel, Mariana Friedlin, Karen Zhongmi Garber, Michaela Getz, Angela Louise Gibbs, Lauren Elizabeth Giese, Julia Louisa Goldmark, Crystal Demia Lynette Gray, Charlotte Lucienne Griot, Jennifer Sarah Gutman, Alicia Olivia Harper, Erin Lynn Haynes, Jameson Haley Heldrick, Sovira Hernandez, Suman Ho, Linhoon Su, Deborah Lynn Isaacs, Swati Mittal Jugatia, Makara Yvette Joshua, Jaesung Jung, Michelle Kimberly Khan, Babe Kawai Bog, Saint Kokoki, Ri Karada, Steve Q. Lee, Sung-Young Lee, Angela Unji Lee Wen, Maria Madeline Latini Malero, Janet Elizabeth Linnell, Wei Ting Liu, Nanan Liu, Catherine Leduca, Karina Lozano Aguirre, Lindsay Machakoti, Hiromi Makiuchi, Nakita Malakov, Adriana Lourdes Maldonado, Daniel Mancini, Patrick John Manista, Stephanie Ann Matthews, Kara Morrow, Rachel Aliza Mayers, Elizabeth Colbert Mazada, Colleen K. McElwain, Katie L. Milks, Andrea Elizabeth Milo, Farnaz Kazi Mohideen, Catherine Jane Morgan, Samantha J. Morgenstern, Emily Louisa Moore, Rubab Nakvi, Cheryl Nelson Sodaway, Jeffrey Mark Noble, Milim O, Wendy V. Oriana, Samuel Alma, Laura Chrismalis Pangburn, Amy Elizabeth Pecora, Simone Nicole Perry, Christine Marie Petrucco, Beta Magdalena Pazachka, Jessica Yannick Pierre, Sarah Elizabeth Pilgreen, Princess Denise Prince McCode, Ebony Arkia Rao, Morgan Elena Rasmus, Akila Aisha Reynolds, Lauren Dominique Christina Reynolds, Maria Katrina Pelez Rica, Amber Simone Ricks, Catherine Robinson, David Alexander Rowe, Hilary Roy, Victoria Rukovitz, Danielle Ryan, Craig Anthony Sabatino, Shane Sabnani, Zabia Sarfraz, Nathaniel Matthew Shapiro, Elise Marie Skura, Dana Marie Serino, Deborah Joan Sheehan, Elizabeth Laurel Shine, Olga Schneiderman, Christian Mackenzie Smith, Charles Everett Staten, Jody Lynn Steinlosk, Shama Subramoni, Giovanni Armando Suriel, Kevin Raymond Harlow, Shakina Taylor, Lucia Takuda, Veronica Tarico, Alexia Tanith Talbol, Megan Tropea, Lily Sen, Armira Aldadai, Michelle E. Ulmer, Erin Nicole Sadler Unkefer, Timothy Valenti, Elena Sofia Vasquez, Aditi Vijayasekhar, Bozhena Visman, Andrea Suzanne Waxman, Alex Paige Walzak, Emily Lauren Wald, Ding Wang, Bianca Danielle Williams, Kelly Lynn Williams, Yaliz Yaziki, Irene Mine Yu, Carolina Zakoshelna, Juying Ju, Catherine A. Zaccaro, Blaine Zucker. Will the students and the faculty from the Department of Counseling and Clinical Psychology please stand and be recognized? And now, the graduates from the Department of Curriculum and Teaching. Anne Catherine Abrams, Rebecca Ann Abrams, Jacqueline Dana Acker, Yuan S. An, Lauren Adair Allen, Laura Jane Anderson, Stephanie L. Armstrong, Amy Bader, Lauren Page Bales, Stacy Helena Baird, Bethany Jane Barrowman, Marceline Bauman, Alexandra Dine Bison Croston, Jennifer Albert Betts, Marcia Carol Blair, Dahlia Christine Bowery, Sarah Elizabeth Bright, Shauna Francine Burke, Isabella B. Butler, Ellen Siom Cantrell, Michelle Renee Carberry, Tasha Cardullo, Sherilyn Faye Carhuff, Flavia Carvalho, Louis Carlos Catillo, Anne Catherine Chalmers, Cheryl Chuernwei Chi, Yun Kwang Chung, Heather Clark, Lauren Amanda Clark, Alexandra Cleary, Shakia Coles, Courtney Lynn Connors, Elizabeth Colette Cotter, Vanessa Lucrezia DeGidio, Karen Da Silva, Fang Day, Katrina Davino, Frederick De Robertis, Michelle Edison, Cara Alyssa Eisman Zamist, Shara Rachel Eisner Grinberg, Elizabeth Hill Engel, Avery Ann Rector Eslacher, Danielle Foyer, Rachel Michelle Finlinson, Kara Ariel Fisher, Caitlin Fitzsimons, Jordana Lee Franzblau, Carolyn Garcia Guerre, Angel Ging, Lindsay Catherine Giam, Andrea Giliberti, Nicole Elizabeth Maria Gabo, Catherine Gomez, Melissa Elizabeth Gonsalves, Kaylee Gregware, Elizabeth Asiato Hayes, Ashley Jean Hines, Julie Min-Kyun Hong, Courtney Elizabeth Haran, Kimberly Sue Hudson, Sakina Jaffrey, Kimberly Ann Janko, Mia Lynette Johnson, Christina Marie Joseph, Farah Kareem, Anna Katsavan, Catherine Marie Katijan, Jessica Kim, Wanmi Kim, Laura M. King, Pamela Ashley Krantz, Elizabeth Kravashek, Ekta Kumbani, Jamie B. Kushner, Shannon Marie Lang, Sarah Ann Layden, Kira Lee, Kwangyun Lee, Emily Ballard Lilla, Leticia Guimares Lyle, Caitlin Patricia Mahoney, Jeanette Marie Martamucci, Christopher Thomas McBride, Caitlin McCauley, Carolyn McDonough, Laura Michelle Minry, Julia Claire Miller, Megan Elizabeth Moulton, Lillian B. Mullane, Christina S. Munn, Jennifer Marie Murray, Yuko Nakazawa, Anita V. Nair, Kimberly Ann Neary, Brittany Nicole Nelson, Lena B. Ng, Laura Obibi, Brittany Elizabeth Owen, Cynthia Marie Peaty, Gwella Perry, Antosaki Parenchi, Jennifer Lynn Pierpont, Grace Player, Eunice Pong, Julia Vanessa Ramos, Rebecca Celia Rafsky, Conroy Ritchie, Jennifer Schilling, Allison Marie Schwartz, Jaywan Sheldon, Elizabeth Ellen Slunker, Danielle Rose Smith, Bryn Staker, Michiko Sugiyama, Sunny Mary Sue, Andrea Jan Sklarski, Sarah Tack, Pecharalak Tavidiko, Sharice Shantae Thomas, Courier Nathaniel Todd, Ellen Alexandra Campbell Totten, Allison Ann Turner, Rebecca K. Tyne Zimmerman, Henna Wadwa, Danielle Sarah Wald, Finso Choyden Wangchuk, Drew Douglas Watson, Lee Carpenter Webb, Magdalena Kinya Winek, Alana Wahlberg, Oiji Audrey Wong, Katreya Wanchamnong, Judy Yuan, Catherine Zimmerman. Will the students and the faculty from the Department of Curriculum and Teaching please stand and be recognized? And will all of our graduates and our faculty please stand and be recognized? Thank you. And now, Provost James.
President Furman, Mr. Ruckert, Mr. Highland, trustees, faculty, and guests, it is my pleasure as Provost of the College to present you the Master's candidates from Teachers College. Please hold your applause until all the candidates have been recognized. Would those receiving the Masters of Arts please stand, be recognized, and remain standing? Would those receiving the Masters of Science please stand, be recognized, and remain standing? Would those receiving the Masters of Philosophy stand, be recognized, and remain standing? And would those receiving the Masters of Education please stand, be recognized, and remain standing? President Furman, I ask that you recommend these students for the granting of their master's degree tomorrow morning in the Columbia University commencement exercises. Please be seated.
I'm Robert Weintraub, president of the Teachers College Alumni Association. It's with great pleasure that I formally welcome you, our newest alumni, into our community. You are joining a body of some 90,000 professionals from all our departments and programs in all walks of life at all stages of careers who have made a significant mark in the world. They have done so because of their intelligence, sensitivity, drive, knowledge, experience, and wisdom. They have also done so because of the people like the ones around you today: family, friends, teachers, administrators, trustees, benefactors, and fellow alumni. Representing our alumni, I am here to tell you how valuable participation in our association can be. We are colleagues and collaborators, supporters and challengers, advisors and networkers. And what holds us all together is our alma mater. If your time here was anything like mine, you experienced moments of puzzlement, angst, and weariness, along with insight, inspiration, and laughter. And many of you have developed what will be lifelong friendships. If your future time here is anything like mine, I can assure you that your continued connection to TC will continue to bring you insight, inspiration, laughter, and friendships. Right now, I know that your focus is and should be on your work and careers. You are destined to do important things in education, development, healthcare, and organizations. But please know that you have a home and rich community in TC, which you can tap into physically and virtually. Your fellow alumni, along with all the people here that make Teachers College special, wish you all the best in your endeavors, and we hope we have the opportunity to join you along the way.
Good morning. I am Jack Hyland, co-chair of the Board of Trustees. On behalf of all of the trustees of Teachers College, I would like to congratulate each of you on your very significant achievement. We thank you, your families, and friends for joining with us, the faculty and staff of Teachers College, to recognize all of you, our master's candidates of the class of 2011. Please join us for some light refreshments on the first and second floors of Zankel Building and in Russell Courtyard, where you may be interested to know there is a tent. For all of those who are not students, would you please remain in your seats until our students have left? Thank you, and once again, congratulations.